There is a time for everything, and I'm asking you to accept it. Yes, it's our last speaker. Oh, but yes, we have to accept it. And by chance, we will talk about acceptance. Thanks and applause to Daniel Birrer. He is head of the Sport Psychology Department at the Swiss Federal Institute of Sport Magligem. Thank you, Daniel.
Okay. Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. Just I want you, I don't know if you know the game scissor, paper, stone. You know that one? Yes. So just stand up and make together, two persons together, just for activation. Scissor, paper, stone, best of 5. Just for activation. Yes, best of 5, please. So thank you very much for this. I think there's a little bit more légèreté in the room right now, and I think you're ready, and I think you're more present than before. And being in the present has something to do with focus and concentration, and this little exercise is quite good for having more focus on the present moment. So, I want to give a brief introduction into acceptance commitment therapy. Usually I do this in a 2-hour workshop or in a 1-day or 2-day workshop with coaches. I have sometimes a 1-day workshop and 5 times 90 minutes follow-ups. Now we do this in 20-25 minutes. But first of all, I want to give the credits to other persons. Acceptance commitment therapy is a third-wave therapy like mindfulness, and I give the credit to John Kabat-Zinn, who was introducing mindfulness-based stress reduction, and to Peter Haber, who introduced myself into mindfulness in sport. Then Stephen C. Hayes and Kirk Strosahl, they developed the acceptance commitment therapy, so it's their model, their therapy, so the credit belongs to them. And there's the Association for Contextual Behavioral Science, ACBS. If you are interested to have more insight into ACT, then go to this site and check it out. There are 2 sport-specific resources. The one is the Mindfulness and Acceptance in Sport book you see on the left-hand side. And there's an article introducing a short introduction and mini review about acceptance commitment therapy in sport, which was published in the Sports and Exercise Medicine Journal of Switzerland. So you can download it and have insight into ACT in sport. So, if you are working with ACT, there are 4 general principles. First, people are prepared for the use of methods with psychoeducational elements. This means that a more educational part explains why certain methods are used and why they work, and why others' methods doesn't work. So, psychoeducation is a very important part. Then there's a functional approach. ACT therapists think that every human process or every psychological process has a function or had a function in the past. Maybe it doesn't function right now, but every emotion, for example, does have a function. And emotions doesn't mean that it's not a good meaning behind the emotion, but maybe it's not appropriate in the exact moment. So emotions are very important, and we have to to follow the emotions. And also we have to realize what will want an emotion to tell us. There's a function behind that emotion. So emotions are very important informations coming from realizing what kind of emotion I have right now. Then thirdly, images and metaphors are used. I want to try to use as well metaphors and images in this short introduction. And then also using experiential exercises. And I hope that you got one paper. We use this paper and a pen for this short exercise I want to make with you. So, ACT says that differentiates between towards move and away move. Towards move towards two goals. And there are 6 away moves, which are very important. So the first away move is attachment to a desired self or a fixed conceptualized self. That's the first away move. Then the second is the so-called, I think it's, yes, the cognitive fusion. So seeing thoughts as facts and not being able to realize that thoughts are just a product of our thinking process. You will have, right now, you will have thoughts and you think, oh, that's the reality, but it's just a product of our thinking process. It might have to do something with reality, but it might not. Then third is we try to avoid unpleasant thoughts. We try to avoid unpleasant emotions. And this avoidance is also one important away move, away from our goals. Because sometimes we avoid negative emotions or unpleasant emotions, and this brings us away from our goals. Yes, that's the fourth one, pursuing avoidance goal. So we try to avoid things, and in doing that, we are not following our goals. We are having another away move. And this has to do with the loss of the present moment contact. Our mind is in the future or in the past. So that's another away move. And the last one is that we are neglecting what is important for us, or we don't know exactly what is important for us. We don't know our values. So what you see here, that's the in the ACT model, that's the solution, psychological flexibility. We were talking about a lot being flexible, being adaptive. And ACT has worked on psychological flexibility since the 80s, 90s. So actually there's a solution for being flexible, for being adaptive. And you heard about this from Göran and also from Carolina and so on. So what means being psychological flexible? And now we are going through all the 6 ACT processes in short. And the first one is contact with the present moment. And I would like to show what it means to be psychological flexible, or what this certain process means for elite athletes by using quotes from Olympic medalists from Tokyo 2020. First thing is the human consciousness has a wonderful feature. It can time travel, so our consciousness can time travel. It can be in the future, and we are using this, so I don't touch this again. So we can be in the future, and we're using this feature for time traveling when we are using imagery. For example, when we are preparing for a competition. Say, okay, 20th of January 2022, I have this kind of competition, downhill skiing, and then I'm visualizing my downhill skiing at that day. But we also can go into the past. And the problem is that we also can go into the future, and what we are surviving, or what we are doing in the future, maybe we are feeling the same things we can feel in the future. So maybe we are feeling fear, or maybe we are feeling joy and whatsoever. When we are feeling joy, it's okay, or for a lot of them people it's okay, but when we are feeling fear, that's a catastrophe. So I had a coaching clinic last Monday with coaches, and one coach said, oh, I had 10 days before we traveled to the World Championships, I had an athlete who couldn't train because she was fearing that she would fail in this competition. So she was 30 days before the competition, she couldn't train because she feared the future. So that's a problem. And where does competition take place? In the here and now. So what does it mean, being in the here and now? And now I give you a quote which highlights the importance of being in the present moment, stemming from Victoria Golubic. She was a silver medalist in females double tennis in Tokyo. And she answered when asked how she manages to deal with her thoughts following. But when it starts, it's really only that moment that counts. I think that's also a daily practice, to be in the moment, to focus on what is important. How do we train this? And it's important that we train this because nerves are like muscles. They need training. Yesterday we had a formal mindfulness exercise from Hannah McDougall, so I don't make an exercise right now. But there are a lot of mindfulness apps out on the market. So, for example, you know Headspace or 7Mind, and there's also now a new feature on the Apple Watch with a mindfulness training program. So you can use a lot of different programs on the market to be in the present moment, to train to be in the present moment. So we're coming to the next process, self as context. This is a very complex process, and we also learned in the pandemic times that the value system of many athletes and their acceptance has been questioned. And sportspersons, we know that sportspersons with strong athletic identities sometimes seem to have like ego-boosting obsessions and manifest a strong tendency of self-esteem protection. And this makes working on the self as context process very important. However, a quote from Nina Kristen, she was bronze and gold medalist in Tokyo, underlines what it might mean to work on taking a flexible perspective on oneself and what role it might play in the context of high performance. She said, I would say that I have understood how shooting works. So she was asked about why she was able to win that medal. And she said the following, that is, I have understood how the interplay between the head and myself works. So she was making a difference between the head and myself So there are different selves, and she already saw that there are different selves that she can observe herself. And she also said to understand what I need. So she exactly knows what she needs, and she also knows how she can come to the needs. So I want you now to make a short exercise. So I hope that everybody has a sheet of paper. And I want you to take that sheet of paper and shortly reflect on yourself. And reflecting on the things you are really proud of you. And I want you to write down on that sheet of paper 1 to 3 things you're really proud. For example, I'm an Olympic medalist, or I'm the most respected sports psychologist in this room, or I have a beautiful boyfriend, or I love my children. So write down 1 to 3 things on one side of this paper. This gives me a little break. So everybody done? Huh? No, not everybody. And now reflect on your not so sunny sides. Reflect on the things you try to avoid or escape, or you don't like. Maybe thoughts, feelings, memories. And write 1 to 3 of these thoughts, memories, on the back side of the same paper. For example, I'm useless. I'm not good enough to speak before this audience. Or I don't want to lose my job, or whatever. So please write it down on the other side of that paper. So we have done a little work on the self as context by having you reflections on yourself, on your person. And now we are going to the next process, the acceptance process. And why acceptance? You can go into the literature, into detail. There are ironic mental processes. You know, maybe you are familiar with the reinvestment theory, and you can read this. But a very important point is acceptance doesn't mean resignation. It doesn't mean resignation. It's the complete opposite. And also, what is important to know, if you are stressed, not the stress reaction is problematic, but the fight against this stress reaction. So if we accept that we are stressed, and we don't try to get it away, we have more capacity to be in the present moment. And I give you a quote or an example what really acceptance means from an interview with Nina Christen, where she explains how she senses her nervousness at the last shot, which decides be an Olympic hero, an Olympic champion, or be a loser. And that's what she said. In those moments, I feel my pulse very strongly, especially at the neck and in the chest. I am already on the verge of shaking. I'd like to put everything down and run away because it's so uncomfortable. But at this moment, there's nothing else to do but endure the whole thing. That's acceptance. Not trying to get rid of it. Being in the present, being in the moment, and doing what affords to win a medal. So, how to come to acceptance? Oops. Oh, there's missing a slide. So, we're doing the following. Take your paper, which you had written down or which you wrote down, your reflections about yourself, and take that paper very firmly in both hands and face your not so sunny side, the things you want to get rid of. Take this paper and you want to get rid of, so press it away and make the same as I do. Press it away, try to get rid of it. Push it as far away from you as you can with a lot of, come on, just do it. Yes, do it. Push it far away and look at this. You want to get rid of it. Huh? You want to get rid of it, but on the back, on the side, on the paper, there are the good sides of yourself. If you are pushed this away, you get also more away from the good sides of you. So what you also can do is, you can just let this paper go, let it in your lap. Just let it in your lap. So your thoughts about yourself, they're still here. But now you can look around, your hands are free, and you can do whatever you want. And this is an exercise of acceptance, but also diffusion. Diffusion means that you are making a distance between you and your thoughts, between you and your emotions. They're still here, but now you can focus on the present moment. You can focus on the presentation. You can focus, if you are at home, you can focus on your children or whoever you want to focus. And having your thoughts and your feelings with you, you don't have to get rid of them if you can focus on the present moment. Because they are part of you. They are part of your personality. And there are reasons why you have the thoughts and emotions. This brings us to this diffusion. Right. Again, Nina Christen. A quote from her. And the biggest challenge was not to get caught up in thoughts like, oh, this could be enough for a medal, or thoughts like, oh, it's over now. So to really concentrate on my job, my work, we have an incredible amount of time to think. And your head is always thinking. So the most difficult thing was to always come back to what is important. And this also means diffusion. Realizing your thoughts and feelings and coming back to the present moment and doing what it needs to do. So there are different exercises in ACT for doing this, but also metaphors. For example, thoughts are just thoughts. They are not reality. Or thoughts are tools. We are using the metaphor that thoughts are tools. Or emotions are aids. And we also have an exercise to classify different sensations. And what it means, you can see here in the next slide, what it means to make a distance between you and your thoughts. So you can have the thought, I'm stupid. and then you're completely fused with that specific thought. And you can believe that thought. But you can make more distance. You can say, oh, I'm having the thought I'm stupid. So you make distance that you are realizing, oh, I'm having a thought. And that says or tells me you're stupid. And you can also make more distance by saying, oh, I'm noticing I'm having the thought I'm stupid. So we make even more distance. So you can simply notice that thought and come back to the present moment. That means diffusion. But diffusion is nothing or inessential when it's not leading to the values-based life. So you should know what is really important for you in your life. And also athletes should know what is really important for them. And to have their lighthouse, which guides them, especially in difficult times. So we are using metaphors like, the quote from, first the quote from Yolanda Neff. She had a very, very difficult season. Very difficult season because she got injured. And, well, luckily maybe, because 2020 would have been too early for her. So she got injured and she had a very difficult time. And she said what brought her through this difficult time with the following quote. I think the key points for me are keep going and have fun. So her values are having fun and just going, keep on going. Above all, to keep the joy, to tackle things with joy and know that I don't have to, but am allowed to because it brings me joy. So being a professional athlete, professional rider brings joy, even if it's hard sometimes. And that's a personal value of her, which is quite important. But it could be another value. It doesn't matter which value. The realization which is really important for a person, that's the key point. And we are using metaphors like the lighthouse or the compass. What is your compass in your life to work with values? You can also go to Values Inc., but you can also go to this web page, www.unipark.de/uc/Werte/ and then you come to a homepage, and there you can have a session where you can look into your values on German and French for our French friends. So, and you also can use this tag. You can make a picture of it, and then it will bring you direct to that page. So, we're coming close to the end, because knowing the values isn't all. You have to act towards these values. And this refers to the committed action process. And we heard a lot of people speaking about these kind of processes. We heard this morning, Carolina Lundqvist, some methods how to increase committed action, what to do to come closer to what is important. But there are really simple methods like time management, use of implementation, intentions, or how to work with barriers. There are a lot of different methods out there, and it doesn't matter which method you are using. The thing that matters is that you are using and that you are trying to I'm trying to train and to practice these kind of processes. And I finish with these quotes from Nina Kristen and also Victoria Golubic. And it goes about practice. So Nina said there are 2 or 3 tricks, for example. I say there are no tricks. These aren't tricks. But she said, and of course I've practiced it many times. Also on the mental side, you have to train these, to train these or practice these techniques. And also Victoria Golubic referred to training. She said, but I think that is always a daily practice, to be in the moment and to recognize when thoughts and emotions come. So she realized it's a daily practice. She has to do and do and do and do it every day and practice it. So that's the end. Thank you very much for your attention, and some references here. And maybe there's one question. If not, you can send me a question by email, and I maybe will answer.
Thank you. Yeah. So is there any questions? You can write the email. Thank you so much, Daniel. Thank you so much.